We're recording? Yeah. Okay, yeah, he didn't lick it from a stone. You don't like that expression. Okay, can you point the microphone at Mia's mouth? See, that's why it's good to have a headphone so you can hear your... Anyway, can you direct it in such a way that it's pointing directly at her mouth?
Like so?
We've been doing this for 2.5 years. Can I just apologise? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you should jump up and adjust.
Is that too close, maybe?
No, it's absolutely not too close.
It's like,
Oh no, sorry. I'm talking to you like we're also married. Hannah?
Yeah, you
Instant family.
You married
This is such a cute
woman.
situation, though. Family time.
Yeah.
We wouldn't spend time together otherwise, you know what I mean?
Forced.
Yeah, forced togetherness. But no, we were just bonding over the fact that we don't like the expression "lick it from a stone."
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled with that expression. Lick it from a stone, because like, who came up with it? One person must have, in flow, sort of. Well, he didn't lick it from a stone. What do you mean by that? And then somebody had to explain it. Then it became an understandable and agreed phrase. Mm-hmm. Hannah?
Yes.
Okay, I feel like I'm being gaslit by everybody, because before we started recording, you were all agreeing with me, and now you're doing exactly. I'm sorry, but and then I'm just talking about it, and this is you like this. Look at me. You're like this. Look, it sort of brought me under the bus. You're staring at. Did you see that? And okay, it's good to know that.
What else is there to say?
Yes, actually, I think it's a really good metaphor.
And then apple far from the tree. Apple far from the tree.
I'm supposed to just say the same things again.
Yes, yeah, because we weren't recording. Me, if you're not going to take this seriously, no. An apple far from the tree.
And also the spit. What was it?
Oh, sorry, Mia. When we were talking about this, we weren't recording. So now we're recreating.
Don't cry, Mia. It's all right. It'll be over soon.
Excuse me.
You're congested. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
Do you want to kill me?
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. Don't worry about that. Jesus. No, don't worry. That doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Do you want to introduce the podcast?
Okay, starting again. Do we have to have the whole conversation?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to And That's Why We're Not Together, starring David McSavage, Hannah Andrews, and special guest, Mia Döring.
Thank you so much, Mia, for joining us on the podcast, and that's why we're not together. And thank you to my two sons, Jack and Daniel. You are the future of this country, and someday you will inherit the family farm, even though we don't fucking have one. I'd love to have a farm.
Well, you've got imaginary farm now. You're striving to have a big farm.
I'm so sorry, Mia. Mia, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you are.
It's like the big farm and innuendo for something.
Isn't it? Oh yeah, is it?
Or is it a metaphor?
Is it a euphemism?
Euphemism, that's the word, not innuendo, excuse me.
For having free life.
It's funny, I was talking to our mutual friend Lindsay, and instead of saying synopsis, she said hypnosis. Oh, well, it's just a hypnosis of the... Huh? Hypnosis? Thought that was quite funny. No? Anyone?
I've heard someone saying instead of Sistine Chapel, 16 Chapel?
Or cystic chapel.
Cystic.
Okay.
The Sistine Chapel.
Sistine Chapel.
So do you want to introduce Mia? I'm sorry, Mia.
So,
do you have the introduction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, we are joined by Mia Döring, author of a book called Any Girl, and it's powerful memoir that explore her experience of sexual exploitation and the long and complex path to recovery. But Mia is not only an author, but also a psychotherapist, specializing in sexual trauma, and also an activist, talking about against violence against women. And also she did a TED Talk, Break the Silence.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't
That was
listened.
9 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and what was the TED Talk about?
It was the same things.
I don't know many people who done TED Talk.
Yeah, it was fun.
You know,
it was fun.
It's quite
it was actually
incredible.
really fun. Yeah, it was good times. It was in what's that college that you have to pay for called?
Griffith?
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me.
So Mia's suffering from congestion.
Well, it's not congestion.
Okay.
Sorry.
It is congestion. I am.
You are congested.
It actually isn't. It's just this weird thing where a real sad thing happened in. I'm gonna make this be bullet points because this is a long story. A real sad thing happened with a friend of mine who I love very much, and he had a big alcohol relapse. It was the saddest thing ever. Saddest thing ever. And it went on for like 2 weeks, and I was like thinking he was gonna die. It was just awful. And then that ended. I was totally heartbroken, real sad. Then I went to this breathwork thing about 5 days later, while devastated, and just after that, I can't breathe properly.
And was it holotropic?
And it's real, yeah, exactly that. I love it.
Oh, it's anxiety, do you think?
Yeah, but it's like whatever happened, because holotropic breathwork is this. I'm not good at explaining this, but it was invented by this guy called Stanislav Grof and his wife Christina in the 1970s as a way of accessing unordinary states of being without using psychedelics, which were being made illegal at that time. I don't really know the history. So it's this particular way of breathing. You listen to this music, whatever, and whatever happened in this, it was a weekend thing. The second session of this, it's very intense. You breathe for 3 hours, and like all sorts of things happen because your body does all sorts of things and expresses things, and the unconscious comes up and whatever. It's really powerful. It's amazing. But whatever happened after the second one, like I just couldn't get my breath back, and I kept like needing to take these big gulps of air, but then not being able to get it. So I'm still bloody doing it.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Because it is hyperventilating.
It is, yeah, basically, yeah.
And you, by cutting the oxygen,
Oh, Jesus
you
Christ.
just get yourself in a different state of
But then
consciousness.
you integrate though. You come,
Yeah.
it's like you come back to normality again. It sounds bananas, like it's
No,
not.
I've
It
done
does
it.
sound bananas.
I've done it.
So, but you
Love
can't.
it. I
You
love it.
you haven't been able to breathe properly since.
No. It's kind of, it comes with it. It's like an anxious thing as
Okay,
well.
okay,
Like
right.
my anxiety's gone way up, so then that's come up as well. But then it goes up and downs and up and downs. And then I did another day of it like last weekend, thinking it would help because to move whatever was left over, and that was keeping me trapped in this weird thing. But it's just made it worse. So yeah.
Well, Hannah's at that crack as well. You're a very spiritual warrior. You know, like Hannah went up to the Wicklow Mountains and did that ayahuasca stuff. I mean, you know,
Yes.
to open whatever doors are in my head, I
The
want
Wicklow
them to
Mountains?
stay closed.
Well, in Wicklow, among other places.
Yeah,
Yeah, you sort
wow.
of go to nature or like remote places in a safe place.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a certain ritual. You've got to get a good person who would lead you. I wouldn't say shaman, you know, like
Huge admiration for Hannah. Tough
would
person.
lead you to safely during the journey, because it can go anywhere. It can
Yeah.
trigger a lot of unusual behavior and certain traumas. And actually, I've seen a person being possessed during the ceremony, and luckily, the guy who led the ceremony, he just taken her out of that state. But it was just like watching Omen. She was really possessed. She actually spoke in a different voice.
Yeah.
And she didn't remember. Yeah, it was almost like
Mia's looking at you going, yeah, I'd like that. Sign me up for that one. Oh yeah, could I have the possession weekend?
Yeah, and that girl did not remember anything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anything.
It's crazy.
When I was listening to the audio version of your book,
Have you
know-
finished it?
No, I haven't.
What
And
page you on?
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
got the audio version, and then I've been listening.
You can't see pages anyway with an audiobook.
So it's a trick question.
But you can look it up.
Apologies.
What
You
did I
can,
say?
you can look it up and you
So
can
irrelevant.
see the pages.
Sorry, go
Anyway,
on.
But
But-
I think, you know, like, you know, how courageous it is to write what you wrote, because you're exposing yourself. We all have dirty secrets we don't want to tell other people. So,
Yeah.
you know, like, what made you to do it and
Oh, I didn't want to do it at all, like, no.
risk every, you know, like you're gonna be judged, you know. I mean, I'm gonna say, you know, I say, you know, like I went and steal this and that. Instantly, let's say like a trivial thing, instantly people form an opinion of me, and then you exposed yourself.
Yeah, well, the idea is that we shouldn't be judging people. I would happily judge you for stealing something, right? But I wouldn't happily judge someone who's been abused. So that is part of the reason why I wrote it, was because we still victim blame and shame people who've been abused, even in domestic abuse situations. And that's human nature. But the more that you can share the stories, you can create more understanding of why and how these things happen, and then hopefully reduce the stigma. And, you know, all that victim blaming and shaming and shit. And I was just sick of it, like, so sick of just living within my head, you know. But it did take 10 years to write. Like, it wasn't like, it wasn't just like I quickly did it. Like, I wrote, so annoying. I wrote 3 versions of it. I wrote an anonymous version in 2012. Then I pulled that, thank God, from being published, thank God. And then because of the publisher. And then a couple of years later, 2015, I wrote another version of it, but it was more journalistically. I was trying to like write around it. I was trying to write essays, you know, where I didn't have to the whole story. It was like bits here, bits there, and then a little bit of a critique of different situations, you know. And then that didn't work. And then I wrote a novel. And then in 2019, late 2018, I went to edit my novel. I got some feedback from a publisher, so I was like, great. And I was sitting down to edit that, and then this feeling of doom came over me, and you know, this feeling of like, this isn't going to work. Like, you have to write the memoir. It was so annoying. It was so annoying. It was so annoying. I didn't want to write it. It was so annoying. It was so annoying. I can't explain to you how annoying it was having that realization, like, I have to write this fucking thing. But it was kind of like, well, I'm not going to, you know, it was kind of like, well, I just have to. So
You had to write it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not being all like, oh, I'm, you know, oh, I had to, you know, but it kind of was that. I just had to, or I would go insane.
Yeah.
It was that. It was either say it out loud or like lose my mind. And the only way I can say things out loud is by writing things. So, you know.
Because what I liked about the book is it's not only about what happened, but, you know, trying to understand why it happened and what caused it, but also the aftermath, you know, the trauma, and how, you know, how long does it take and what does it take to recover, or maybe never recover, but constantly get better and better.
Yeah. Well, it's like trauma is like pretty identical to grief, you know, like profound grief, where you're just kind of going in circles, and it's just this organic thing of its own making, and you can't really control it, but all you can do is meet it in different ways and figure out how to meet it, as opposed to trying to get rid of it or get better and better, because it's just gonna, trauma, it works it kind of goes in circles, so you keep revisiting it, but in different ways every time. So it's more like, how can I integrate this into my life than recover from it, I think is.
So maybe how do I get better with dealing with it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So how do you deal with trauma? Sexually, you know, sexual trauma.
So sorry for this breathing.
Can I get... But also, I'm aware of the fact that I'm talking to you, Mia, and you've talked about this so much.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I guess, does it feel like, oh God, I don't want to talk about this again, or is it a bit triggering, or
no?
Is it difficult to get? No, it's not. It's difficult.
It's not triggering to talk about it. It depends. You know, it depends who and what the context is of talking about it. You know, like. It just depends, you know, but that's just part of it. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know?
So yeah, listening to you narrate your story.
Did you notice any loud mouth sounds?
No. but it was kind of, you know, when you were in. God, it's just even the phraseology. Do we describe it as? Oh yeah, sorry. Just a few little points. Prostitution, but then there was a time there were. Do people still refer to it as sex work?
Some people, yeah, lots of people do. I don't. Yeah.
Right, and can you explain to people for what? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's neither sex nor work. So when we understand sex for what it actually is, and we understand work for what it is, then we can understand, we can see that prostitution is neither of those two things. Do you know?
Yeah.
like
so
sex.
So you define sex then?
Well, sex. If we think about sexual consent, even is mutual, freely given, enthusiastic, reversible, ongoing. You know, the way all these campaigns are out there telling us what sexual consent is, which is the actual absolute opposite of what prostitution sex is, which is do this the way this person wants you to do when he wants you to do it. It's like your autonomy and your desire and your wants and your comfort is like non-existent. It's like caring that the person that's serving you a coffee is like perfectly happy and content and really wants to be. Nobody cares. They just want their coffee. You know, nice and civil, but they want their coffee. That's all they really care about. So you transplant that to sex, and you can understand that sexual consent doesn't feature there. So it's not sex.
And
it's mutuality, and it's voluntary. If you're having sex with somebody because you need somewhere to stay, that's not consensual sex.
Right.
So then your own desire to have sex with somebody doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So then you're being raped.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important distinction, because I think a lot of people might look at it like, well, you know, certain people choose to do a job.
Yeah.
But if you're,
it's not sex though.
But if you're in a situation where, you know, whatever the reason might be, financial, mental, that you feel you have to do a certain thing, that's not a consenting thing, is it?
I mean, listening to your book as well, it should almost be like a curriculum in schools or something.
Yeah, I think schools are kind of afraid of talking about that kind of thing, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But why?
I don't know. I could be totally wrong, though. I have no idea.
No, because you know, like there's so many campaigns about you know, respecting women, consent, but is there an improvement? What do you think? In our behavior or men's behavior
I don't know.
towards women.
I'm like a one-person population sample for that particular piece of research. So I
but
don't
you go
know.
on campaign. You have a strong
not
views
for a long time, though. Yeah.
about how society should.
Oh,
work.
I don't know. Like we've had this law that criminalizes the men who pay for sex, and they're still paying for sex. Do you know?
That's the Nordic model, isn't it?
The Nordic model, yeah. And 1 in 15 Irish men pay for sex, and I think we focus a lot on boys and young men, and that's great. And about educating them and everything. I'm like, what about all these middle-aged men?
Yeah.
What about all these middle-aged men? What are you doing with them? Do you know, it's not teenagers' fault. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like, I'm totally open to being totally wrong. It's just what I observe from like doom scrolling and reading the newspaper and stuff. That there's this message sometimes to young boys that they're already somehow in a bad place because they're male.
Yes.
And I don't know. Like I could be wrong here, but that's just my sense of things. When actually the men who are causing so many problems are much older. You know, and I think I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this, but I think young boys need more, and I'm sure schools are doing it, and I know Richie Sadler does this, you know, that former footballer guy, he's great, like supporting them and listening to them and hearing them talk about their thoughts and feelings about things instead of like telling them don't do this and don't do that. Like I used to work with this campaign called White Ribbon years ago, like 10 years ago, very briefly, like for a year, and we'd go to schools and excuse me, stupid breathing thing. We'd go to schools and like I'd go in and be like, here's my sad story of rape, you know, and tell them the story. These are 15-year-olds, you know. And then I'd be like, and here's the pyramid of violence against women. And the bottom is jokes. And then I'd teach them all this. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And then this old guy I was working with come in at the end and be like, no, lads, don't watch, whatever you do, do not watch porn. I'm like, great. Well, they're not going to watch porn anymore now because some old guy said it. Like, perfect. I'm like, none of this is serving them. It's just making us feel good. None of this, I don't think it's helpful for them. What we were doing anyway was helpful for them at all. Because they weren't being listened to. They were just being kind of lectured by a rape victim. They were 15 years old, you know. Anyway, so I stopped doing that real quick. It was weird.
Yeah, I
not feel
know
right.
what you mean. Like nobody wants to be lectured. We
we
want to listen.
especially when you're a teenager.
Yeah,
we need to be listened to.
They don't understand what wouldn't understand.
No, but also a lecture meaning like, you know, presenting what you should be doing, not should be doing, instead of maybe telling stories, bringing people with real experiences.
Yeah, it
and
was
maybe,
just really
as you
weird.
said, listen to them, what they experience. Yeah, you know, like what they experience.
Yeah, I didn't think it was very helpful.
Can you tell like the initial kind of, I don't know, how would you say, the initial introduction into prostitution?
Well, I was groomed into prostitution by this guy who was in his, like, I don't know how, sometimes I'm like, Was he in his mid-30s? I don't know. He could have been 45. I have no idea how old he was. But in my head, anyway, it's weird how you kind of, with stories like this, you have this narrative and then you stick to it and then you're like, hang on a second, maybe that wasn't true. I really have no idea how old he was. But he wasn't an old man. He was like 30s, 40s. And he groomed me over like 3.5 years into prostitution.
How old were you then?
I was 16 and then texting him, and then 17 when we met. And he gave me money. I didn't know money was going to happen. He gave me money the first time I met him. So that was like immediately like, because I had such low self-esteem and stuff because I'd been raped only when I was 16, like right before he came into my life. So I was like floundering around and he was giving me all this attention, and then he gave me this money and it was £100. And in that moment was that thing of like, oh, this is how much I'm worth. Okay. It was just this unconscious message that was transferred to me in that moment when I took the money, because I didn't have to take it, but I just was like, this is great. You know, I was 17. Fantastic. And then I went home and I was like, great, I have £100 now. And it made me feel like valuable, you know, like I was like, £100 was a lot, you know, when you're 17. So then that kept going for 3 years ish. And then at some point he like sent me out to meet friends of his and stuff, and that was horrendous. And he also paid me gross. And then at some point got rid of him.
Oh yes. Jesus
but there was a
Christ,
merge
Mia.
before that happened. There was a merge into prostitution before he actually was out of my life. It's very difficult to remember the details. Sorry, what were you going to say there?
In your narration, or you say you're talking to yourself as if you're someone else. I mean, as if you're an older version of the younger version of you, and you're talking to you.
Oh, using the second person.
And is that is that a way of kind of being almost Buddhistic about it and just pulling back? Okay.
Yeah.
So
and putting it onto the reader, you know, instead of me. You're in the room, you're doing this, you're thinking that, you know.
This is what you would have gone through if you were in my shoes.
So it's not I the whole time. It was just instinctive, really, you know.
Yeah.
Really, it was really instinctive, those parts that are in that second person thing. I love using the second person, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, I'm jumping back and forth here, but like to someone who's gone through something similar to you, like what steps do they need to take to become... To recover from something like that?
I don't know, because it's up to each individual themselves. The book, this is going to sound real martyry, but the book was for me, first of all, to write it. The decision to write it took years. Like, literally in 2015, 16, every single day I was thinking, am I doing this, am I not? Will I do it, will I not do it? Like, every day, thinking about the impact it might have on my parents and stuff, do you know? Because it's so stigmatized, because people do not understand prostitution. They just do not get it, because we're inundated with like films and TV and whatever else telling us what it is, which it absolutely is not. How they're, you know.
So the phrase sex work is a way of trying to cleanse.
Yeah, that came up in the 1970s, I think. This pimp in America, the what are they called? The second wave feminists were protesting against pornography, and this pimp, I can't remember her name, she's dead now. She invented the term sex work to kind of make the people who work in porn and prostitution, and what I'm saying,
to legitimize
as in legitimizing pimping and profiting from these industries.
It wasn't American lady, American woman.
A woman. Yeah, surprisingly, as far as I know. So she invented it, and then it really caught on here.
You see, what don't people understand then about prostitution that they need to understand?
Well, the fact that 99% of the women in prostitution in Ireland are trafficking victims. They're young migrant women. You can go on escortireland.com and have a look at this. You can scroll through the profiles. It's very obvious who the trafficking victims are. There, you can look at the reviews the men write for them. Like, people think this is on the dark web. I'm like, you can just Google it. Like, it's right there. Like, just look at it. So most of prostitution is women who are being trafficked all around the country, and the pimps write the ads for them. There's different code words to imply that somebody is underage, you know, in the ads. And the second thing is, so mostly trafficked or organised by criminal gangs. That's prostitution in Ireland. Just been driven around in cars to every single village in Ireland has a brothel of some sort of description in it. Sandyford has loads of brothels, Swords, Christchurch, anywhere there's apartment blocks, there'll be brothels in it. And the women and girls are moved all around them. So that's number one, is like, that's what prostitution is. It isn't what you might see on TV or in films or whatever people are getting their information from. And it certainly isn't the 1% of sex workers who talk in the media and talk about their rights. And all
Sex Workers Alliance, is that the...
Yeah, well, they're gone now, thank God. They had no more funding, so they're dead.
No more funding?
Yeah.
Funding?
Yeah, they had funding from somewhere.
From
I
the
don't
government?
know. Don't know. I don't know. No, probably not. Because the government has deemed prostitution as violence against women officially, so couldn't be. But there are different organisations that would have funded them, but I don't know. I can't remember now who.
So this guy Jay, he's out there.
Yeah.
Do you know who? Obviously,
I know his name.
Yeah. And was he ever brought to justice?
No. An ex of mine has contacts in the guards who looked him up on Pulse once. That's about as far as I went.
And that also, there's horrifying statistics as well about you think it's not, like, the guards aren't women friendly in the sense that, I think, were you talking about statistics where, oh yes, it was in your TED talk where you're talking about the amount of abuse that women have to endure. 1 in 4, or I'm not sure exactly. And then, so rape victims, and then most of the rape victims don't go to the guards. The women that
70% don't, yeah.
70%.
Yeah, 30% do, and out of those 30%, oh, maybe I'm getting my stats wrong here.
Yeah.
I could be. It was 9 years ago now.
Right.
I did that
But I mean, so there's a very small amount that it will go to.
Let's say, of 30% that gets reported to the guards, like less than 2% end up in convictions. I think that might be it.
So of course, if someone has endured this horrifying ordeal and violation of their personhood, and they see this, they're not willing to
encourage or not encouraged to go to guard.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah,
I've worked with loads of people who've withdrawn their cases, or the DPP didn't pick them up, or didn't get anywhere with it. Yeah, really sad.
So, but like, let's say the prostitution scene, is it different now because of the social media that used to be where you were in? I mean, is it a different thing? Is it different, like, women or different gangs organizing it?
I wouldn't know about the gangs. I wouldn't know about that. About that side of things. And definitely women in prostitution who are like, my body, my choice, and they're independent. They were like me, they're using Twitter and stuff like that. That's all I really know about that, about how things have changed. But I'd say it's more or less the same.
Yeah. And what about women saying, "Oh, I do with my
Great,
body
good
what
for
I
you.
want"?
Good for
and,
you. Fantastic. Go for your life. I don't care.
Because
I don't
a lot
care.
of time,
No,
all
but
this OnlyFans is glamorized. I've even seen some documentary not long ago about the girls doing a lot of money on OnlyFans, and and you look at this and it's not critical. It's almost like, oh my God, you're a good businesswoman.
I know.
Yeah. It's just like, you're doing so well. And I was just thinking, is that what we want for our daughters, to be?
Yeah, no, things have gotten real
the
unhinged,
business you want to go into?
Yeah, it's really weird how normalised the OnlyFans thing has gotten, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's mad how normal it is. It's actually insane how normalised it is. I don't know.
And there's a lot of men involved in organising the OnlyFans girls as well, isn't it? So it's kind of like the same thing, but just, extrapolated to the internet.
And
stuff.
the guys will be the ones replying to the men with their pathetic little messages that they send.
Yeah.
And why are we not seeing these men as complete losers? Like, I don't get that.
Do you feel kind of...
And why are they so in the shadows? Like the same as punters. Nope, we never talk about them. They never hear from them. Why? Because they're full of shame. And the same as punters, they're totally silent in the shadows. While we look at the women, oh my God, why is she doing this? How did she get into it? How much money did she make? I'm like, what are these fuckers? Like, what about them? Why can't we? There's 166,000 men in Ireland who pay for sex. When do we ever talk about them? When do we ever? We never.
Well, let's talk about them. And they're well, let's talk about them. I mean, they're among us. They live.
They're everywhere. Yeah,
It
creeps me out sometimes.
It creeps you out because.
Just know they could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Could be anyone. Do you know? You just don't know.
Yeah, and do you see? Do you
Because
think
the same as rapists, though. Rapists could be anywhere as well.
Do you think prostitution will ever end?
Yeah.
You do?
100%.
You do?
100%. Yeah.
Where has it ended?
What do you mean, where is it ended?
Is there any country that they've...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd say there has to be countries where it doesn't exist. Has to be. Well, think about how this is maybe a really blunt comparison, but think about the smoking ban in pubs and how quickly that worked, and how now if you smoke, you're kind of looked at like a bit like a leper. Do you know? It's different. It's different now, isn't it? It's weird to if I'm going to a retreat or something or a workshop, I'm like, I find there's another smoker, I'm like, oh my god, brilliant. Do you know? Because there's less and less of us, which is a good thing. Do you know? And that's how I see prostitution, is eventually people will cop on and be leprosized out of doing it.
Oh, that's such a good way
Well,
of putting it, leprosized.
Yeah, we need to shame them. And I'm a psychotherapist, But I'm not working with these men.
But then again, to the women who, like you say, my body, my choice, you're like, good luck to them.
Go for your life. I don't care. But you're not affecting legislation for the vast majority of vulnerable. We legislate for the most vulnerable, not the privileged few.
Right.
So fuck off. Great. Get it. You can get a different job if you want. If this legislation is going to affect you so badly, get a different job.
Yeah.
I don't care. Go for your life. I care about the most vulnerable, these girls being trafficked all around the country. I care about girls like me. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, if I was
ultimately, I do care about those women too.
Yeah.
The law is for the betterment for everybody, obviously. But I'm not going to debate with them. I'm not going to lower myself to that, because it's like when, sometimes you might be invited to debate with a woman in prostitution, and I will never do that, because it's making a spectacle.
Yes.
Of something that should never be made a spectacle of. I don't know how I can explain this properly, but it's like cheapening the trauma of my trauma and of hers, whatever it was that she ended up in the situation. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just not going to do it. I'm like, that's deflecting from the issues. Do you know, I'm not going to of course it is her body, her choice. Go for your life. I don't care. I'm not going to debate with her whether it is her body, her choice. The men's choices are the ones I care about, and legislating. So they're what they're doing is illegal, which it is, thank God. The consent campaigns that you see around the place, online and stuff. I really wish they'd include, like, sometimes they say, like, consent is voluntary, it's mutual, it's, and I wish they'd say it's not paid for. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, right,
and I know
yeah.
I know they're saying, well, it's voluntary and it's freely given, so that implies, but like, that's not really how people think. I think we need to be more explicit that paying for sex is paying for somebody to say yes. That's all you're not getting their consent. You're getting them to go, okay, that's not sexual consent. A yes is not a sexual consent. Legally, okay, yeah. But morally it's not. And these fuckers know it. These punters know it. Then they're on their little website afterwards being like, oh, she wasn't really up for it. She was a bit like mechanical. Because he raped her. He raped her and he knows he did. But the money means this lovely cognitive bypassing can occur where he can feel smug and like a customer. Like a smarmy little entitled fuck of a customer after. Yeah.
So you're saying that prostitution is rape?
Yeah, 100%. Well, why am I traumatized by it then? I said yes to all these encounters and I'm absolutely fucked up over it.
So is it coercion?
Well, can I just say...
it's rape.
Yeah, but coercion to that behavior and which leads to rape. All the girls are being coerced to that sort of behavior.
The girls who are being trafficked and controlled.
Yeah.
Well, they're being trafficked and controlled. It doesn't matter whether.
Yeah, but the girls who are doing it voluntary.
I wouldn't want to speak.
Well, they're clearly being
taken.
It's very complex. They've been taken advantage of. There are some kids in school. You hear about these horrendous clerical sex abuse, and there's some kids that are groomed. So these predators would they could tell by how people are, that they're groomable. Yeah. So it's just interesting, this idea of. So you're paying for somebody to say yes, but you're not paying for sex. So I guess because most people
because sex can't be sold. Sorry.
Yeah. Most people haven't had an experience of prostitution. I can't believe I'm saying prostitution now because because it used to be sex. You know what I mean? I'm glad I'm old and I'm close to death. That's all I can say. You know what I mean? Because I've had enough. But I'm so. It's not about me. Shut the fuck up, David. You were told to listen. But prostitution. So, you know, with a sexual encounter, you know, you're meeting somebody, there's attraction, you're chatting to them, whatever. That's not
Yeah,
the
it's
same
mutual.
thing.
Mutual.
So when you
I want to,
pay,
you want to.
so you go on one of these websites, you pay, then somebody calls to your door. So it's very strange. You've never met this person before, and you know, they're undressing, and
It's weird, isn't it?
and then you know
At best.
they're undressing, and you know, where do you have sex and all that? Like, do you go up to your bedroom? Do you have it on the couch or whatever? And I'm just trying to talk here, and I'm struggling. No, I'm just saying that, like,
Well, could I ask?
like I'm just trying to say that it's not it's like you don't know the person, but then the exact thing that would turn normal guys off and wouldn't be interested are some of the exact things that turn some people on, isn't it? Like they're kind of psychopathic. They like sort of ordering people around.
Yeah, some of them. I met a few.
And were you so surprised
I
because
met two that I can remember, because I can't remember an awful lot of it. It was 4 years, and I can only remember maybe a handful of them. And then also in the book, I amalgamated a few together as well.
Okay.
For ease of reading, because otherwise it would be 700 pages long, and like just everyone would be dead after reading it.
Yeah,
you know?
It did read a bit. I felt a bit like a horror film.
Yeah.
There was, you know,
But I kind of did that on purpose. And there was one scene that the publishers were kind of going, "Ugh," and my agent as well, when he first read, he was like, maybe we'll take that out. And I was like, no. And then the publishers were also like, maybe we'll take that out. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, this is what happened.
Yes.
Everybody needs to know what happened. You know, and that's what I mean about writing it for the greater good, or, you know, not just for me. Because if I was writing for me to soothe my own ego in some way, there's no way I would have that book out in the world. Like, it's mortifying having that book in the world. Do you know what I mean? But when it's for something else that's outside of me, then you can do it. Then you're free to do it. You know what I mean? So
something else that's outside of me.
if I'm doing it for something other than me,
Bigger than yourself.
yeah, exactly, bigger than myself is what I mean. Like, you know, and it sounds real pious and martyry. It's not, but it's also true. But it is true. It is true, because if I was just writing for me, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. Fuck no.
And so those guys those psychopathic or sociopathic guys who are just so psychologically deranged, neurologically damaged, whereby the only way they can get sexual excitement is by abusing people or ordering them around. A lot of them around, and holding, you know, normal jobs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
were you
but-
quite surprised by that? The type of people that you came into
Well, what freaked me
contact
out
with?
because when I was in it, I was so in it that I wasn't able to see anything, and I was so young. But you know, in the years after, realizing how easily these men just float through the world, just like we were saying earlier, like rapists do and child abusers do and domestic abusers do, and they're just able to, and all narcissists can do this perfectly, like just blend in.
Switch. And do you think any of these guys would be sort of have any kind of self-reflection, or are they just out there doing the same?
Not those ones. Yeah. I'm sure some of them do, but not those ones.
Look, I'm not asking you to give advice to young women who've gone through or are going through the same things, but like I don't know if you touched on this, but what things you know, assisted you in becoming better or waking up?
A really nice man came into my life when I was 26, when I was living in Berlin. And he was my boyfriend briefly, and he was amazing. He was gorgeous, and he was just so gentle and lovely. And that relationship was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, all of that was really bad. Because I moved to Berlin, and that was great to be out of Ireland, like. And then I met him, and at some point, and then I got really angry because I started realizing, I already kind of knew, but you know, you can realize more when you're safer. You know, the safer you are, the more you can kind of understand things. So being my sister lives there and stuff, and he was there, and it was, sorry, excuse me, it was a really cute relationship, and yeah, it was via that really that I was like, oh, But then I got really angry at punters, and I was like, I have to do something about this. So I went back to Ireland after a year or so later, and did a master's in journalism. And via that, I was like, I'm going to take them all down. I was so naive.
What you do, the way you just casually just throw out there, you did a master's in journalism. I mean, that's an
Oh,
incredible.
I have so many degrees. It's ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous.
But I mean, Mia,
it's non-stop. I have to stop myself from learning things because it's just escaping life by, I'll stay in college forever. It is. It can be a thing.
well, but it's.
Well,
But I
you
mean,
can
it's
be
not a
addicted
cat.
to anything.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people
it's a good
struggle terribly academically. So
Yeah.
So you've got a great brain, and you did a master's in journalism. How long does that take?
A year.
What?
A year.
Oh, because you'd had a degree already.
A year full time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Broadcast journalism, because I love radio.
Right.
Then I didn't do anything with that, but.
And does that? Do you
too.
find just sort of really, having goals and being, and learning stuff? Does that
Yeah.
get you out of?
Yeah, having meaning, for sure, having meaning. And then after that, I did diploma in psychology, and then I did a degree in psychotherapy. And that was while I was teaching English as a foreign language, and that was all happening at the same time, and that was fine. And then I was working as a psychotherapist then for 10 years, from 2015 to 2025. And then I quit that a year ago, and I don't know what to do now.
Oh, why did you quit?
I got burnt out.
All right. Is it not really difficult to, you've got your own trauma, and then you're also dealing with other people's trauma?
Well, no, I specialise in trauma, yeah. So,
Yeah.
no, I'm
But
trained for it.
Yeah, but
Well,
is that very difficult?
What was the
No,
burn?
because I trained for
Yeah.
it, I think people think they see themselves in the position.
Mm-hmm.
And, people often ask, it must be very hard listening and taking them. I'm like, but if you're trained for it, it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
It's like if I went in to fight a fire, I'd find it very difficult because I'm not trained to do. So
Yeah.
because
So what was the burnout?
the burnout was because, well, I don't know. When my book came out, then I took a month off when my book came out, and I really enjoyed that month off, and I really enjoyed talking to people and meeting all these different people and doing all this different stuff that was dynamic and moving around and like interesting, having interesting conversations with people about stuff and meeting new people and stuff, and it was real just like energizing. And then I had to go back into the office then, and like I didn't want to go back to work. And I love being a therapist. Like I loved it. And you have to do 30 hours of continual professional development every year. And I'd be like nerding out. I'd be doing 70 hours a year, like just loving it. Like, and all my trainings were in trauma and everything that I did every year. And I loved supervision. You've got a supervisor every 2 weeks, or depends on the amount of client hours you have. But I had to go every 2 weeks. I loved it. I still am very passionate about psychotherapy and really am a big advocate for it. Still think it's the best thing ever. But since my book came out, and I didn't want to go back to work then, it was this gradual, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore kind of thing. And then in 2024, that summer, I was very depressed that summer, and I found it really hard. And I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. Because I've always kind of been self-employed. Like, I've actually always been self-employed. Because even as an English teacher, like a freelancer, whatever. And then I got an Arts Council grant to write. I got a literary bursary, so that was amazing. And I was like, oh my God, I can kind of live off this for a while. So I'll give everyone 3 months notice and finish up at Christmas. And then I thought I'll take a year off, write a book. And then I'll be just totally refreshed to go back and start my practice again. Because I've built up a reputation that it wouldn't be hard to build my practice again, But then the year went by and I was like, I don't want to go back. What am I going to do? So since then, I'm like, fuck, I have no money. I don't know what to do next. I've never had this before in my life.
But you like, you're passionate about psychotherapy.
Very passionate.
Is it maybe
good psychotherapy? Yeah.
Is it maybe because you've just taken such a long break? It's just the idea of getting back into it. You feel it's a bit of an existential crisis.
I just can't do it. I can't do it.
But is
I
that...
can't do it. My life has got to be about me now somehow. I don't know how.
Well, I would say listening to your stories and just holding up this mirror to your experiences, it's very inspirational, and it really does. I'm trying to pick shine a light on these dark behaviors of these disgusting men, these disgusting bastards, and so they have been held accountable, and they haven't got away with it. Well, hopefully karma will eat at them like a cancer.
Oh, it already is. They're doing the behavior that is causing them harm. Like, it's causing them harm doing this.
So that is very inspirational. But you think of the amount of people who suffer injustice or endure injustice on a daily basis and can't do anything about it because they're powerless.
Yeah.
And they're walking around and their heads are fucked. And they so I think, well, like you said, it was very, very difficult for you to write this book, and it wasn't like cathartic, like everybody likes to throw that word around, but it wasn't very important, I think, and really, really brilliant, and everyone should read it or listen to it.
What I found really kind of good about it was it felt good to craft the book as opposed to tell the stories in it. It felt good to put it together in a way that was like digestible for other people. Do you know? That was good for me.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, so what place are you in the sense like your own trauma are you?
Well, it never really goes away, but it gets easier to deal with, do you know?
Yeah,
it depends because trauma is relational, and relational trauma is relational, obviously. So it's healed relationally. So the more you can kind of cultivate good relationships with people and safe relationships with people, even if you just have one or two really good people in your life, you're kind of your gold, you know. But I mean, it's really hard to explain. Like it's always, every day there's something from the past, usually about the abuser, that pops up. And a friend of mine who's a childhood sexual abuse victim, Trish, she said to me that it's every day for her. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, it's every day for me too. Something will come up. Unless I'm having some sort of mental day where I'm like with somebody all day, or I don't know what, like have to look after a baby or something, you know, like when you're like totally absorbed, do you know? Otherwise, I think, most days there's some aspect, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing or anything. It just is what it is, like, and you have to be very loving towards yourself and very forgiving towards yourself, because it's easy.
What does that mean, being very loving towards yourself?
And like, you know, being kind to yourself, literally saying to yourself, that's hard for you now, that happened, that you had that memory, that popped up. Do you know? Eating
well, sleeping well.
Yeah, all those things. But those things are very hard to do.
Why?
You know, it's just hard. It's sometimes for me, like, living a life is just fucking hard, you know?
So that even that thing of just talking about, I had to psych myself up to get the bins out. And or
Hoover or something.
Yeah.
Something like that, depending.
No, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah. There's a fucking pillow over there, right? Look, there's a pillow over there.
A red one?
And I wanted to bring it upstairs. No.
On the floor?
No. What I'm just trying to say is
there no pillow?
No. So I have two pillows, but one of them is downstairs, and I just haven't.
Is it actually?
No, but I just haven't brought it upstairs for like 2 weeks, and every time I go upstairs, I think, shit, I want that pillow, and I just couldn't be arsed going downstairs.
But that's
I'm talking
that's
about myself.
Laziness, David.
Yeah, I'm talking about
I
myself.
call it
Don't
lazy.
talk about yourself, David. I'm just trying to relate.
Yeah, that's lazy.
Okay, but I think that's why it's so true, like you say, as part of your, you know, getting better and feeling strong,
being
and having
your own friend,
and is good relationships, or one or two good friends,
yeah,
or feeling that,
if you're lucky,
solidity.
Yeah, it's.
But that the anger is there stages of recovery, like whereby you want to get a baseball bat and attack these people, or no? I have a
real thing with rage. That's why holotropic breathwork really helped for me. I've done it a couple of times with expressing rage. It's so powerful, and you feel so like healed afterwards. It's it's such a beautiful thing. But yeah, rage is something I struggle to express.
Rage is something you struggle to express.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because my whole life was like, just
suppress,
be happy and be of service and, you know, look after.
And what was it about, like, validation? Like, you were very... Would you say you were desperate for attention, desperate for validation
from the guy?
From when you were a kid, like, you know, was...
I think I have a big family, and I think I might have just been not seen so much.
Yeah.
Do you know? Which is really common. But certainly after being raped and then the guy coming along, it was like this laser attention, which just felt amazing. Do you know? It felt amazing, even though I knew what he was up to, something dodgy. I didn't really care, because when you don't really care about yourself, you don't really care what happens to you. Do you know? You don't really care. You're just like, this is great because... But also you're not thinking like
what goes on in your brain when
you
say you don't care what happens to you? What does that mean to, like...
Well, when you feel like you've no value,
Yeah.
You're not going to be concerned about protecting yourself from predators. Do you know?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Anyway. But also I wasn't cognitively aware of any of this. I wasn't like thinking about it. I was just acting out of a really hurt part of myself. Do you know?
And then was it like a thing where you become aware of these things and then you can start to
afterwards,
get you can start to change or whatever?
Yeah, when you're safe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you can kind of see things for what they were and see that you were being abused and, you know.
And what do you think we should, like, I wonder, do we have what is in place in schools, I wonder, in terms of just, you know, creating, you see, the word awareness, it's such a weak, low vibration word. Awareness, you know, are you aware of the problem? Yes. Okay, bye.
Yeah, this understanding is different to awareness, isn't it?
Well, I was going to ask, like, but I think you kind of answered it by saying you think it will go away completely in terms of
some
thing.
point.
But like, do you ever feel a kind of hopelessness about the state of how people interact with each other?
Yeah, I do. I definitely think prostitution will be gone at some point. Not in my lifetime, not in your lifetime, like, but at some lifetime won't exist anymore, for sure. But yeah, I feel hopeless when that stupid fucking rape float popped up there, you know, that in Mayo.
Oh, the Epstein files.
Fuck the fuck off. Like, why did no one set fire to that? Why did nobody step in and go, we're stopping this? Why did they not form a little barricade of people to stop it moving forward?
Now you would.
Why did they just let it go past?
So you assume the atmosphere whereby people were, let them off,
or
and
just
so that,
bystanders, where you just stand there and let it happen.
Is that what we're talking about in terms of a pyramid?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
And I'm not.
So this is sorry.
I'm not blaming anybody here, like, but when there's this thing called the bystander effect, where, you know, it's a psychological bias thing where, like, let's say you hear someone screaming, most of us will just wait to see if somebody else moves. Maybe not some screaming, but I don't know, something's going on, right? I'm not explaining this very well at all, but like something's happening. Let's say somebody faints or something. That's also a really bad example. But like most people will like not be the first to go and help because they're kind of going, in their head, there's a thing, somebody more qualified than me needs to do this. So we wait and see if somebody else will take over. And that's what happens in these situations as well. Everyone just stands there like idiots instead of courageously stepping in.
So do you know what Mia is talking about?
No.
So in a small town, I think it was in Mayo or somewhere, they were during St. Patrick's Day.
It went to 3 different towns.
It
travelled.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just yesterday? Or just
It seemed like I only saw
St. Patrick's Day parade. St. Patrick's Day parade.
I only saw short videos. So there was this. So there's this, like, you know, they were doing, like, in quotation marks, comical floats where they were like, you know, putting hot button issues on.
They were reenacting Epstein Island on one float, and they had Donald Trump, and they had Stephen Hawking or something, you know, Stephen Hawking, you know, and just, you know, a clunky kind of an attempt at sort of.
But they also had like an ICE agent float. I remember seeing that where there was like no papers, you're gone kind of thing. So it was part of like a.
It was part of a bigger.
I'm pretty sure,
joint
right?
up thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So.
We didn't pull over the curtains. I'm just saying.
They were pulled up before. Okay.
Okay. Well, you're fired. Mia, what's going on?
But wait, I just want to go back to that float. It's I think it's like an interesting, because I think a lot of people would see that as like, oh, they're just like, you know, they're it might be satirical, or they're putting up they're making fun of it, but. Like, you see it like a different way. That is it minimizing the issue?
Funny. They're taking the piss. I just have to do my parking.
What questions do you find annoying when people are talking to you about this? What questions? Like, it feels. Am I right in thinking that it's kind of that you kind of are a spokesperson for this stuff because you've stood up and given a brilliant account?
No question really annoys me. No, not really.
Yeah.
I don't think any question really annoys me. And if I get angry or get animated, it doesn't mean I'm annoyed by the question.
Yeah.
It just means the issue is annoying. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that fucking float pissed me off. It pissed me the fuck off. I was like, how have we not at this stage realised not to do that, maybe? Not to have a joke. There was a bed on a float with a man wearing a wig pretending to get raped. And there was police pulling him off, the alleged rapist off, the fake, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pulling the rapist off, and then they were running around dressed up as girls. Like, fuck the fuck off.
So I think
fuck off.
it's like the lack of seriousness, because nothing's actually been done, like, seriously for the perpetrators. Like, we're all aware that there's, you know, people in high positions that aren't getting any criminal justice done to them.
But it's
and
like,
then
why do
you're
you have
making jokes about it, right? Yeah.
But like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, but also the lack of empathy.
Total lack of empathy
Whereby
for rape
these-
victims and abuse survivors. Fuck off.
But
These
how do you
fucking
talk?
idiots.
How do you make the penny drop? How do you shift
You
the
don't,
consciousness?
not with them, not with the ones who did that float, not with them, with the people who watched. You go to the bystanders.
Yeah.
And you get them involved.
But
So for next time.
as men, they don't young men don't understand what it's like. You know,
Well, that's fine. They will understand by being ostracized from society, right? That's how they understand. So I am sick of explaining things like,
right.
please don't take the piss out of rape.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that. And I fully 100% believe that anything can be comedy, anything can be funny, anything can be funny, any topic, including rape, including sexual abuse, can be funny. But it matters who the target of the joke is.
Right.
That's all that matters. Anything can be funny. The target is what matters. If you're punching down on a vulnerable population or not, that's where it matters. And I'm sick of having to explain, it's not funny, these are the impacts. Oh my God, you have a sister, you've got daughters, like, what are you doing? Imagine if they know this already. What we need to do is tell them, this is not acceptable, we're going to burn your float down, we don't want to see you in, you know, around the town for the next month, fuck off. That's what needs to happen. That's how they'll learn. They're not going to learn by me going
but
like, that's what needs to happen.
I'm not going to say but. There's no but.
It's called peer influence. It's the greatest motivator for change. It's the only motivator for change.
Right.
It's why people give up smoking and everything, because all their friends have quit.
Right. Oh, my friend.
If all your friends are going, you're a loser because you were a creep to that woman or whatever, you're not going to do it again. Because we need to belong in our group. It's like our wiring. It's... Do you know what I mean?
I want to ask you something else, because I saw you wrote an article in the Independent, I think a year ago or something around that. It was about decriminalization.
Oh, that woman who was murdered in Limerick?
I have her name there.
Gila.
But
Sarah Everard.
No, Gila. Gila, I can't remember her second name.
I'll get it in as...
A woman in Limerick was murdered. She was in prostitution. She was murdered by an alleged punter. And
you were saying, I guess, that decriminalization wouldn't have changed that. If people had decriminalized prostitution,
it makes it more prevalent.
And because I lived in Amsterdam for a year, and you know, you have the red light district, and it's a huge tourist attraction. And you know, before going over there, I didn't really understand it that much. But then I watched a YouTube video about someone interviewing a former prostitute from there, and she said that, you know, anywhere from between 20 to 80% of women there are trafficked, and it it kind of completely changed my mind on it. Like, I didn't want to go anywhere near there anymore, because it's like it's like Disneyland almost, the way people are walking around.
And these are victims, crime victims in the windows, and how presented as a fun, hilarious, jokey like hobby. For tourists and locals alike to participate in. Like, it's fucked up how easily and how easy it is to buy the lie. You know how easy it is to buy the lie.
Exactly.
It's much more comfortable to be like, but it's legalized and it's taxed and it's regulated and they're waving and smiling at me.
There's families going along there. I mean, it's bizarre.
There's certain things, I think, that for society to function properly, correctly, and one of them is men having respect, really respect women, and just but the way, like, when kids are really young, they're taught not to run out in front of the road, and usually sometimes a shock, so it'll just so there's something that needs to be, like you were saying, there's something that needs to be, some kind of something that needs to be put in place. I mean, it's called family values, it's called parenting, but it maybe in combination with some kind of school thing where you're sitting down with these kids and you're explaining to them that harassing women or violence towards women, it's out of the question. It's not going to happen. But I mean, sorry, it seems quite prevalent, And you know, and then what I'm trying to say is, like, for a young man, he's not going to come on under the scrutiny and the attention and the harassment that a woman is. And so if stuff doesn't directly affect you or happen to you, it's hard to get your head around. And I know how annoying that must be for me to say that to you.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
But is there some kind of electrical shock treatment where you, oh shit, I see what it's like to have that kind of unwanted attention? It's horrible.
Yeah,
I won't
ostracize
do that.
them if they behave in a bad way towards women. We don't want to be your friend anymore.
Yeah.
But also,
Yeah.
There you go. Now you know what it's
Yeah.
like.
But as you said, we're just saying young boys and all that. What about all this?
Older men. Yeah.
You know,
one of the
group
things
of
with
people
punters
when they are untouchable.
with punters, there's an awful lot of apologism and like, oh, they just want company and you know they're lonely. What about the lonely ones? What about the disabled ones? The disabled ones. Oh my god, what a stupid fucking argument! Like, who cares? I don't care if you're disabled. I don't care if you've got no legs and no arms. You don't deserve to pay for sex. What the fuck? Nobody's entitled to sex because poor you, because you're in a bad situation. It's just sex. It's not the big deal. Like, seriously. But yeah, there's an awful lot of apologism about the poor, lonely, unsocialized men who just want a nice woman to talk to.
And has that have you had experience?
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
Obviously not. They just want to come in. They come in, they have sex with you, they leave. That's what happens. They barely speak to you.
And don't they, like,
they barely
a
speak.
lot of time, they want to have sex with the girl the way they can't have it at home, and they just, you know,
totally
behaving inappropriately.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, they're paying for sex because they want to have power control over a woman. It's like eroticized power and control over a woman, because most men do not pay for sex. Like, they don't. Most men don't. Only 1 in 15 men do, which is a lot, but it's not most. So what's the difference between what's going on with the other 14 men, that they are just also as men as the other men? Like, what's the difference between them? Because they don't have this, like, it's complex, you know, but how I see it is they don't have this need for power and control over a woman, or this want, should I say, because it's not a need, it's a want. So they don't feel the need to enact it. Do you know? I mean, I don't know. I'm just going on my own thoughts and feelings about things. That's my sense of things, though. Because we need the 14 men to start talking about why they don't. Do you know? To try and figure out what the difference is.
Yeah, well, I think, there's neurological fucking damage. I don't know. You know, some people, you know, they shut the bedroom doors. God knows what they fucking...
But just like society has groomed us all to, like, you know, with the media we consume and everything, has groomed us to see prostitution and how it's presented as like this okay thing that is just, you know, fine.
Well, there's that movie with Julia Roberts, isn't
Jesus
it? And
Christ.
Pretty Woman, yeah.
Richard Gere.
Yeah, the original bad.
Yeah, but I mean that's a big thing, kind of saying like that there's nobility there, you know, in the darkness.
Well, one of the questions that does annoy me when I was doing interviews and stuff about prostitution or about my book was like, were any of the men nice? It's like asking you, we're like, well, I know you're here, so you've been mugged 10 times. Were any of them nice?
Yeah.
Like, were any of them nice? Yeah, one was really polite.
Yeah.
They still mugged me, but one was really nice about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that. It's like, what the fuck are you asking me? What?
So so you're telling
and
us,
you can be mugged politely.
You're telling your fellow citizens of this country what you've gone through and what you've experienced and what you think prostitution is.
Well, what I know it is, yeah.
What you know it is, excuse me. Have you had criticism from people?
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
From who?
The internet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Twitter.
Or some anonymous.
Just not even. Just like one of my tweets on Twitter got 7 million views. It was about this punter. He's in the book. I can't remember the name I gave him though.
Jay, not Jay.
Joe.
Okay.
Joe. And we got on really well, and that's fine. And then we ended up like emailing afterwards and whatnot. And then when I was doing my master's, we stayed in touch a bit. And then he was kind of like, I'm really fucked up, to be honest, whatever. I'm addicted to this, blah, blah, blah. I'm addicted to porn. I'm addicted to renting escorts, blah, blah, blah. We weren't like constantly in communication, but we had this like kind of friendliness. And then when I was doing my master's in journalism, I emailed him and I was like, do you want to be in a radio documentary? And he was like, okay. So he drove the whole way. He drove the whole way across the city, like the whole way from, I can't remember where he was, but it was miles away, to IADT where I was doing my journalism thing, and did an interview, and I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to change your voice. And he was like, I don't mind if it's my voice. And I was like, wow, you're amazing. So we had this brilliant interview, and he explained how he ended up paying for sex via, he was out on a night out with his friends and they were like, let's go to the brothel or whatever, so he just tagged along, and that's how it got started for him, like that normalization thing of like, we're all doing it kind of thing. And another friend of mine paid for sex in Amsterdam, same thing. It was like, that's just what we're going to do while we're here kind of thing, and everyone's doing it, so it's fine. But anyway, Joe, he ended up telling me about all the financial difficulties he gotten into because he got so addicted to it, blah, blah, blah. And then I told him my story.
He got so addicted to it, so he'd go so often.
Yeah, he was like compulsively paying for sex, you know. And then he encountered a young woman who, I can't quite remember the story, but she had like recent self-harm marks all over her arms. And he was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And that was the end of that for him. But I told him some of my story. Why was I telling you about Joe? For some reason. I was telling the story on Twitter. Yeah. So I was like, here's a mad story. It just popped into my head. And I was like, I remember I was in bed and I was like, I'm going to share this online. So I just randomly wrote it into Twitter. And the whole story, and I was like, mad, he did my documentary. Like, kind of amazing, do you know? Mm-hmm. And then we lost touch, which is kind of sad. But he was a nice guy. And then... like he was a good person, do you know what I mean? But anyway, this thing blew up and on Twitter, and that was okay. But then the hatred was unbelievable. I said something like, I'm glad that he stopped paying to rape or something like that. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. And the stuff, I hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages or comments, replies, sorry, Twitter mm-hmm. replies, telling me awful things, terrible things. Like, will I read them out?
Yeah, you can read them out. Men would have to admit they're rapists if they're going to prostitutes.
What?
I assume it was men who...
I don't know who the fuck it was.
Oh, right.
There was all these... And let me see if I can... I Instagrammed the experience ages ago, so it might take me... Oh, here's some. I wish you were still a prostitute so I could pay to fuck you. And then this person in Irish, shut up, you whore. And then, how much do you charge now? Oh, loads of that. How much do you charge now? Loads of that, as if I was going to be heartbroken over that. You didn't answer the question. How much whore? Shut up, whore. Cool story, whore. What were your rates for handies and blowies? You still banging for cash, asking for a friend? This is the most unhinged, right? I'm an adult. Okay, good for you. And I'm telling you, she loved sex. She's a filthy nymphomaniac whore whose pussy got used by the entire town.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? She's lying. This is the same person. She loved sex and loved dick.
Yeah.
She is the defective one. I've never sucked 1,000 dicks like she has. Loads of really graphic ones about sucking balls and stuff that are just like, oh, are you okay? The only disgusting one is her. Disgusting woman, zero value in your pussy left. Cool. Used up prostitute. You're a whore. You liked getting railed for cash. Normal women aren't sluts like you. That's it. I mean, I just screenshot a select few. That happened. But that was just from sharing that story.
Yeah.
You know?
And when you read stuff like that, is it water off a duck's back, or does it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much. Unless they're alluding to know where I live or something like that, or knowing something about my family, or if they're trying to be creepy in that way, then I can feel like, oh fuck. But I have to remember they're just bluffing, do you know? But that's rare. But that kind of shit, like she used a whore who likes sucking dick. I'm like,
how does a young woman extricate herself from a kind of controlling relationship, where where she's doing things where she's not necessarily, she doesn't want to do them, or what happened? How do you get yourself out of that?
Well,
situation?
for me, it was with this guy, the abuser guy. He never had sex with me, and then he was like pushing for having sex with me, and then he used to send me these like weird, creepy little scripts of what he wanted to happen the next time. And then I was getting older as well. I was in college, and I was like 21 when I got rid of him, and so I was like, I had like good friendships and stuff, and I was creatively doing my work. That's how I met Lindsay in NCAD. And I was like, yeah, she was there below me. And so I was being creative, which is important. And my self-worth was growing, I guess. My self-esteem was getting better. And then he kept pushing the sex thing. And then I said no, and then I didn't. I used to keep cancelling on him or not showing up and stuff, and he'd be raging. Like, but I wasn't afraid of him then, because I was really afraid of him for years. And then in the last year, I was just like, "You're so pathetic." I wasn't afraid of him anymore at all. So I would just not show up, and he'd be screaming at me like I took an unpaid day off work and all, like, pathetic loser. And then he showed up at my doorstep one of these times when I didn't.
Yeah, what a wimp.
Because he'd pick me up sometimes, you know. He showed up at my doorstep, and I had a new tattoo, and I remember he grabbed my arm to look at it as if he owned me, and he was disgusted by this tattoo. And the thing that got me was my housemate answered the door, and she came in looking for me, and she was like, "There's this really weird guy looking for you." So I had to come up with this cover story that it was somebody's brother, just to get them not weird, because they were weirded out. And I was so frozen there, and I was scared of him again now at this stage, when this was happening. And then he left, and then I was like, no, like, that was scary. As if nothing happened. Everything that happened before was already scary, but I'd kind of realised that I was safe to be afraid. It kind of sounds weird, but I didn't have to numb out and dissociate and just endure it, like, which is what I always did. But I could actually say no. So I moved house, like parallel street, but I moved house, and that was the end of that.
What a disgusting animal.
Yeah.
So do you think that a lot of people are in those situations because of fear?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're afraid of physical violence.
They're totally afraid, yeah, because this abuser was so controlling.
Yeah.
He would control, like, and it was so stupid, because all I had to do was just block him.
Yeah.
On my phone. Do you know? That's all I had to do.
But you were afraid that he was going to be violent to you. Was that what controlled you?
It wasn't even thought like that.
Okay.
It wasn't like, oh, if I don't, then he's... Well, yeah, there was at times, like, he was going to be really angry next time, because he got off in violence and stuff. So I was like, well, next time is going to be really bad if I cancel on him again, you know, things like that.
And you wouldn't share this dynamic with your mates, with friends?
Nobody knew it was happening, no.
Okay.
Nobody knew it was happening.
Yeah.
And the level of shame was super high, because he was paying me. Do you know? So shame is like in no, I'm not going to go on about psychoanalysis, but like, it's, you know, it's dirty, you know, it's dirty money. So it's gross, you know.
What about broadcast journalism? Is that something you'd like to continue?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You don't know. You're at a hiatus at the moment, and you're figuring which path to follow.
Like, I need to get a job.
You need to get a job.
Yeah. But it just can't be therapy again, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you're so qualified and you're so talented, you know. I'm sure you'll have no problem. I mean, I can't recommend enough to people to, you know, even if you're a budding writer, to listen to the descriptions and how articulate Mia is in representing what she went through at a very young age. Like, we're in this society together. It's not just men versus women. We look out for each other, citizens, you know, and and if we see stuff happening, we have to step in, and the risk is you'll get punched or whatever. But
and people are afraid, you know. But I've had people message me saying there's a brothel in my apartment block for sure. I'm like, why are you telling me? Call the police. Yeah. Tell them there's a brothel. And they're like, oh, I don't want to get involved. Get involved.
Yeah.
Obviously get involved. Call the police. It's illegal. The same for domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Get involved. Stop being a bystander. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But I also understand, you know. But it drives me crazy.
When you say I also understand.
I understand how people's brains work and how we're not always able to react in the moment. I get it.
Yeah.
But I would like us to realise that we can call the police if we think there's a brothel in our apartment building. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just fucking do it.
It's the same like fire. You know, the fire's there, you would call the fire brigade.
Or if you think your neighbour is abusing, you know, his wife or whatever.
Then you would call the police. There are certain steps.
And I understand things are complex as well, but...
But I just want to say that your book it's got even though it's hard to listen because it's so personal and very raw but it's got a you know, message of hope and it's very positive.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it was positive at all.
Well, at the end, I think it's...
maybe. I
think the positivity is the fact that you were able to write it so brilliantly and give such a good account of yourself.
That's true.
I mean, maybe that's something that's very inspirational, I think.
It is true.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't a writer, I wouldn't have written it, you know, the kind of way.
And you can imagine
I wouldn't have gotten a ghostwriter to do it or anything.
And I assume those little fucks would have, you know, because they're so narcissistic, they say, I wonder if she
mentioned
mentioned
me.
I wonder if I'm in there.
I'd say so.
And they were, and the way those depictions of some of their living conditions, some of their behaviors, particularly that guy who
guy in
was
the
watching
apartment.
American football and how he was.
That was terrible.
What a creep.
But he
And
was the reason
walking backwards
Yeah, I know,
to
I know,
give
I
you
know,
the
yeah.
money. And
He was a psychopath, yeah.
can I just say, thank you so much, Mia. It's incredible to talk to you, and I hope that Mia's story has been of some assistance to maybe young women listening. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you. I think it was very inspirational.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Daniel. And I don't know. Normally you try and leave with an upbeat kind of thing.
Well, you're the comedian. Like.
That was the joke.
That was a fucking joke. Thanks very much, Mia, for coming. I appreciate it. What's next? You're not sure what the next move is.
Well, I've heard you writing a new novel.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, I'm finishing it at the moment. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain, but yeah, finishing it. But I always know when I'm nearly finished a project if like I'm already thinking about the next book.
So you don't know what you think what you're doing is normal. The way you just casually refer to writing a fucking book. Nobody can write a book. Like you're underestimating.
books.
No, they fucking
They do.
Okay, some people do, and a lot of them are shite. But you underestimate how obviously brilliant you are. So,
I am very hard on myself. Like really,
Yeah, well,
really
well,
bad. I don't
well-
know how to change that though. I don't know.
how do you change that? Oh yeah,
I don't
how do you
know
change
how.
that?
By loving yourself.
Oh yes,
as you
no.
said.
That's what AA. They would say if you are harder on yourself, then you see yourself as a bad person, and then what does a bad person do? Is you do bad things, as opposed to if you see yourself as a good person, then you're going to do good things. So you have to. Oh fuck! I'm trying to get.
What? So see
But I
yourself
think
as a good
you
No,
gotta
what
like.
I'm trying to say.
I think when you criticize yourself, you just it's almost like an automatic thing. You just
Yeah, they're
yeah,
automatic thoughts, right?
yeah. You just
But it's okay. We
Yeah.
can just notice them and acknowledge them neutrally
So you have to get
without thinking they're good or bad thoughts. Just and it's easy to say that. It's really hard to do it.
yeah.
Okay, instead of having automatic thoughts, you should have stick shift thoughts. You should
Yeah.
change your.
Yeah, you have to replace with stick shift thoughts.
Yeah,
I'm
but you
s-
can be told 100 ways how to get past it
Yeah.
and still, think it's.
Yeah, the thinking is not going to stop. Your brain is
Yeah.
going to keep serving it up. But yeah,
So
this is how you respond to it.
Oh,
you know?
by the way,
Yeah,
can
I
I just say,
heard a good
hang on a
advice.
second. We're talking to a psychotherapist, and I'm trying to give a psychotherapist advice. I am so fucked.
You are
I am
fucked.
so fucked in the
You
head.
know what you have to
I am
do?
honestly. I'm going to be editing this, looking at this, going, "You're an idiot."
But you know what? You know what? Even being a psychotherapist, like you can't do therapy on yourself. I've a large understanding
Oh, yeah?
of how things work in the brain and our mind, but you can't do it. You can't do therapy to yourself because it's a relationship.
But
So-
about automatic thinking. I've read some. I think it was I've forgotten his name, but he said to stop yourself thinking, you just immerse what you're doing. So let's say
Yeah.
if you wash dishes, you're not
Yeah,
thinking,
being mindful,
this
yeah.
this one
Yeah.
told me this, or I did this. You just look at the dishes, and
Yeah.
you almost like
Also, very hard to do.
yeah,
Also
like
very
you
hard
know,
to do. Yeah.
acknowledge that the dish is there, that the
Yeah.
water is there, the sensation of washing,
Yeah.
and
Like
then
when,
you distract
when I was writing the
yourself.
book and I'd get sucked into like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is like the worst decision I've ever made in my life to write this book. And now I'm like 50,000 words in and I can't stop. And, is it ever going to get published? I kind of knew it was going to get published really fast. So that was also really scary. And like, how's my family going to respond? Like all these thoughts. I would just come back to the next word I needed. You know what I mean? I'd be out, staring out the window for ages, like ruminating like crazy, like all anxious. And then I just come back to the next word. And you just keep with the present, what's needed in the present. And then everything looks after itself. Things will just fall where they're supposed to fall, even if it's not great places. But
Where does the word Döring, the surname Döring, come from?
my dad's German.
Das ist richtig. Can I just say, it's such a pleasure to talk to you, Mia. And thank you, Jack and Daniel. Hannah, it's a
Thank
beautiful
you.
day today. I think it's the second hottest day in the year. So let's all go to the park and play camogie and just be normal, regular, well-adjusted Catholic people and just come on and no to all that negativity. Fuck off, you demons. You've had your day. It's see ya. Go under the rocks. Thank you. See you next week. I love you.